So this week we got the New York Giants coming into town. It's Giants week for the Eagles. And I'm going to get right to the point on this one. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time building this one up, or at the very least, initially building it up. I'm going to just get right to it. We owe the Giants. We got to get our get back on them this week. Two weeks ago, they put it on us, and they embarrassed us on national television. It wasn't pretty. That was probably Jalen Hurts. Well, not probably. It was Jalen Hurts' worst statistical game of the season. The only game to date this year that he was responsible for at least one turnover. The critical interception that he threw late in the game, which ultimately sealed it for us. And the Giants, they just punked us in that game. I said a few weeks ago that they ragdolled us, and we got to get our lick back. And, Giants week, whenever it's Giants week in Philadelphia, I know a lot of people have said in the past, or a lot of people may even feel that the Cowboys are the Eagles' biggest rival. And I feel the same way about the Cowboys that I do about a lot of Eagles fans. The side of them is repulsive. Their fans are delusional, obnoxious, arrogant, even though it's been 3 decades since they've won a Super Bowl. All of that. I agree with all of that. The Cowboys, yes, I I hate them as much as I do any other Eagles fan. But when the Eagles play the Giants, and I'm just speaking for myself, when the Eagles play against the Giants, it always seems like the games are a whole lot better. If you understand what I'm saying, the games are a lot more intense. They're a lot more closer. They mean more usually, and we have had some historic games against the Giants. I mean, I've talked about this before in the past, but you think about the Miracle at the Meadowlands. We've had 2 Miracle at the Meadowlands. We've had the Jake Elliott 60-something yard field goal that he hit back in 2017. The comeback, the blocked kick where we ended up returning it for a touchdown. I think it was Clyde Simmons or somebody like that. It's just so much. It's so much history between the Eagles and the Giants, and then couple in the fact that it's Philadelphia and New York going at each other. And to me, all right. I'm just speaking for myself, but it seems like the games are a lot more intense. They're a lot more physical. They're a lot more. They're a lot more emotional when the Eagles play against the Giants. That's always how it's been. That's always how it seemed to me. That while the Cowboys are probably the Eagles, while we all hate the Cowboys the most, the Giants, I think, usually get the best out of the Eagles when they play. Now, that wasn't the case 2 weeks ago when the Giants embarrassed us again. Jackson Dart, he was. I mean, and I give him credit. They played a great game. Jackson Dart was great. Scatterbo, he had a hat trick against us. He scored 3 touchdowns. And the defense, they suffocated Jalen Hurts. and the rest of the offense. I mean, I give them credit. The Giants, they just totally outplayed us and outcoached us. But we can't let them get away with that two times in 1 year. The last time that the Eagles lost a game to the Giants that badly. Let me see if I can dig back in my memory here for a minute. I want to say the last time the Eagles lost to the Giants that badly. I'm going to go back to a game I watched in 2007 where Donovan McNabb was the quarterback at the time. Andy Reid was our head coach, and the Giants were coached by Tom Coughlin. And I want to say Donovan McNabb. Now, the score was close. The score was close. The Giants won like 17-3 or 17-6 or 16-7 or something like that. Some low scoring game, but it really wasn't as close as the final score indicated, because Donovan McNabb got sacked, I want to say 9 or 10 times. I mean, the Giants, they beat the living daylights out of McNabb. Whether it was Michael Strahan, O.C. Umenyiora, Matthias Kiwanuka, Justin Tuck. Who else? I'm trying to think. They had a linebacker there. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. It's right there. It's right there on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember it. Hold on. It's gonna drive me. It's gonna drive me crazy if I do this segment without remembering who his name was. I wonder if I can remember it before. I'm looking it up on Wikipedia now. I'm trying to remember who it was. He was a linebacker. Kavika Mitchell. Yes, Kavika Mitchell. Kavika Mitchell, Antonio Pierce. I'm seeing all these names and I'm getting flashbacks here. But whoever it was, the Giants, they punked the Eagles bad in that game. I remember watching it, and I remember feeling bad for the offensive tackle at the time. It was I think his name was Winston Justice, I think. And I mean, he had tire tracks all over his back in that game. The Giants, they just abused him, and of course they abused him. They abused McNabb as well. So that was the last time I can remember the Giants just totally outplaying us from start to finish until 2 weeks ago. And so the Eagles, they can't let that happen again. They can't. And, I want to say, I think that might also have been the last time that the Giants swept the Eagles. It's been wow. It's now that I'm thinking about it, I think it's been almost 20 years since the Giants have swept the Eagles. I think I was in high school the last time that happened. That's crazy. I mean, I could be wrong. There could be a sweep in there somewhere, but I'm pretty sure that that's the last time I can remember the Giants just being flat out better than the Eagles over the course of a season. So all that to say that the Eagles, they can't let the Giants get away with it second time for twice in 1 year, let alone 2 times in 3 weeks. The Eagles, they have to get this one. They have to return the favor, and they can't just beat the Giants. Like, they got to beat them. They have to they have to embarrass them. They in order to restore some pride, they have to really get after the Giants. And it's Kelly Green week. Eagles wear the Kelly Green jerseys for the first time this year against the Giants. So we got to do it. We have to really stick it to them. And it's going to be a little bit difficult because there's news now that AJ Brown is not going to play. He's going to be out with a hamstring injury, and it's probably just as well because we have a bye next week after this game where we go on our bye. So give him some extra rest, extra time to heal up as we go into the second half of the season from there. There is, however, a familiar face that's going to be coming back to the Eagles. Now, I don't know if he's going to play this week, but Brandon Graham, BG 55, he's going to be rejoining the Eagles this week. At least he's going to be rejoining the team. I don't know what his playing time situation is going to be like, how much he's going to play. I would guess to say that, obviously being 37 years old, he's not going to be an every down player. He's probably going to be used in obvious pass rush situations, third and long, have him out there in different formations. Just bring him in there just purely to rush the passer. That's probably what he's going to be used for at the most. 20, 25 snaps a game at maximum. But it is nice to have BG back on the team. He brings some leadership, obviously, veteran qualities back to our team, and Lord knows we need it because even at 5-2, the Eagles, with the way that this first half of the season has gone, there's been no shortage of drama with our team. A lot of it is self-inflicted, I think, but Brandon Graham, having him back on board to kind of like be the cooler head in the locker room, I think will be good for the Eagles. And I don't think the more I see it, the more I think about it, because initially I thought that he should have just kind of like fall back. You two-time Super Bowl, one of the all-time great Eagles. His number is probably going to be retired. He's definitely going to go into the team's Hall of Fame, but his number is probably going to be retired. He's going to be immortalized, all this other stuff. But the more I thought about it, the more I listened to other people talk about it. It seemed like he didn't really want to retire. It was either retire or go play someone else, and I don't think you could have paid Brandon Graham to go play someplace else. So, he's back, and I think he wanted to continue to play, and he wanted to continue to play only for the Eagles, and I love that about him. He's a franchise pillar. He's a franchise cornerstone. He's one of the all-time great Eagles, and his legacy is already set. But now he has a chance to enhance it even further by helping us win another Super Bowl. He'll be one of the few Eagles to have 3 Super Bowl rings if this all goes the way that we want it to go. Him and Lane Johnson. They'll be the only 2 players on the Eagles to have 3 Super Bowl rings. So what and depending on what people think, because right now he's probably not a Hall of Fame candidate for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But if this thing ends with us again, that could be another checkpoint for his Hall of Fame candidacy. I don't know, but that's looking far ahead into the future. He's back. He can give us stability in the locker room as well as kind of like another coach on the field. So now I'm warmed up to the idea of having him back on the team, and it can only help us, and we need the help too. Edge is lacking. Nolan Smith is out. Jalix Hunt, his interception last week aside, he's kind of slow in his progress for the team. So yeah, come on, why not? Why not? Come back on for another ride. I know he got off the ride, but come on back on and let's have some more fun. So I'm for it. So yeah, getting back to this game, this segment wasn't to kind of gas the Giants up, but I mean it is what it is. They got us, and they got us good last time we played, and now we got to get them back. And I think we will. Again, no AJ, but Devontae Smith, I think he builds off of that 9 for 183 game that he had last week. And now that he's going to be the clear-cut number one receiver for the Eagles, I think you're going to see him continue his hot streak. I think he's going to have another big game. I think he's going to find the end zone once or even twice against the Giants. And Saquon, he's been lagging along. I know he has. I know he has not had the start that Eagles fans envisioned for him. I mean, do we expect him to run for 2,000 yards? No. I don't think anybody expected him to run for 2,000 yards, but we also didn't expect him to struggle like he has up to this point. But seeing how we lost to the Giants last time, I think that's going to, and of course, obviously, because he played for the Giants, I think that's going to light a fire under him, and he's going to run wild. I think that this could be the game that Saquon really breaks out and reminds us all who he is. I'm not going to say he runs for 200 yards, but to really give us some juice and some momentum heading into the bye, I think that we're going to see an angry Saquon Barkley. We're going to see a determined Saquon Barkley, and he's going to be the star of the game. He's going to be the star of the game. So I think that this is a win for the Eagles. And plus, again, Kelly Green, we never lose on our Kelly Greens. Remember the last time we were wearing the Kelly Greens, we had one of the greatest. Well, no, that wasn't the last time, but one of the more significant times that we were wearing the Kelly Greens, we had one of the greatest hurdles in NFL history. So, just putting that out there. That should contribute to Saquon's cause. So, I'm just saying. I think the Eagles win this game. I think that the defense does their job. We shut down the Giants' offense. They're reeling, coming off of that unbelievable collapse against Denver. Maybe that'll serve as a springboard for them to get back on track, or maybe they're just so shell shocked by it that that they continue their free fall. I mean, they were never really going anywhere, but they have been playing with some spunk the last couple of weeks. But now I think that the Eagles throw cold water on that and reestablish themselves as the dominant team in the rivalry. I'm going to say that the Eagles win this game. I'm going to say Eagles win 30-14 against the Giants. 30-14 is my pick. A couple of Jake Elliott field goals, but the Giants offense they're not as powerful this go round as they were the last time. So we'll see what happens. I expect us to be 6-2 going into the bye, and the vibes feeling good. Guys are feeling good, and we use that to build and give us some momentum as we head into November.